they don't understand that they don't understand.
This is Tall Can Audio.
Away we go on a Thursday edition of the Tall Can Audio podcast. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back inside the TCA studio in beautiful Bytown, Canada. Matt Robinson along with you as always. And we check in down in the Big Smoke today. It's been a minute. Our man Matty Laing. What's going on, buddy?
Amadou!
Oh, no.
Your time is up. My time is now.
Oh, no.
You can't see me, boy, because we on the podcast now.
Oh, no. We got Matty Laing in one of these moods. What's happening, buddy?
Hey, buddy, you asked for it, right?
I guess I did.
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Good to talk to you again, man. It's been a while.
It has been a little bit. We always start in the same place. We'll tell the good listener, though, that coming up on the show, we're going to talk a little Blue Jays, obviously, a little CFL. SGA fever is sweeping the NBA. It's only just dawning on me right now. We probably should talk about Masai. We'll get to all of it, none of it. We'll see where the conversation takes us. But what are you going to sip on here tonight, man?
Well, since somebody at your office talked some shit about the
I hate
whatever
that
I
guy.
had last time.
I hate that guy.
A little bit of a dick.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe talk to HR, I guess. But I got two things today.
Oh.
I just finally got my hands on a Guinness pint glass with a toucan on it.
Oh, yeah?
So I did pick up a couple Guinness, but I'm going to be starting off today with something local from Mascot Brewery.
Okay.
It's the lightweight lager, and it's a joke.
Oh, dude, yeah, you're just making it way too easy.
I know. The joke. I got to describe the can.
Okay.
It's Ronnie Coleman, who was the former Mr. Olympia for like 4 or 5 years running.
Okay, yeah.
And there is the GIF or the video of him lifting weights where he's just like lightweight. So I actually never had this. It's just a low carb beer. Never had it, so I figure we'll try it out today.
We'll
Since
allow
it's a beer
this.
and not a cider or a sour
A
or whatever I
seltzer,
had.
yeah.
Seltzer.
Matty may have taken a beating from my secretary, not from me, about whatever berry flavored seltzer might be coming up on the podcast, and he's champed up. He's gone with what sounds like a pretty decent summer beer.
Yeah, God forbid we want to taste new flavors, but yeah, we'll go back to a light beer here.
It's a little judgy. On this podcast. That's how it goes, man. I was just talking to somebody the other. Yeah.
Let me just tell you.
Yeah.
More flavors than I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, more. Definitely not like a Coors Light. Definitely light, but there's got some flavor to this. Not a bad lager.
I was just talking to somebody earlier today. And God love him, it was our friend Andy Nita from the Nita Beer Company who dropped off a couple of things for me and then stuck around for a round, as he's often willing to do. And we were talking about, light beers like this in the summer where you're probably going to be outside, you're going to probably be a little dehydrated, it's going to be a little hot. And I was actually telling him about the Old Dog Brewery right there in Bobcaygeon, which you've sampled a time or two when you've been to the family cottage. And they have a light beer, a Mexican cerveza, and they call it the Chihuahua. Yes. All their stuff is named after a dog, obviously. But it's only like 3.5%. But man, a lot of flavor, right? Like, especially if you're just sitting back on a hot summer day you can't be putting away 7% IPAs starting at 1 o'clock and expect to see, to see a reasonable time of the evening.
Well, expect to keep your pants on, basically,
This is it. So, if you find the right one, if it's done well, if it's brewed up nicely, yeah, you can have a nice light lager and still have a ton of flavor to it. So I'm glad you've stumbled upon one, man. Over here...
Always good to find a local one, Especially being local, right?
100%. Over here, I'm also going local, but I can't change my stripes. This is the Outlaw Stout. Even here in early July. It's 4%. So again, on the alcohol, it's keeping it light, but the stout, nothing light about it. If you're not familiar, this is Outlaw. Like I said, maybe I botched it. I can't remember now. Outlaw from the Pistol Brewing Company. And Pistol took over Evergreen here not too long ago. I don't know the full details of how this is all shaken loose, if one partner's still involved, if it's just a name change. I don't know all the details, but they have kept most of the recipes from Evergreen. So if you're here in the nation's capital, you always liked Evergreen, still worth a trip into the Pistol Brewing Company for the Outlaw Stout or whatever else of theirs you liked. You'll still be able to get it. So that's always good. Look, man, a few different things I wanted to talk to you about, but another thing just coming to mind as I was scanning Twitter before we started, which is where all the civilized conversations of the world happen these days. Always, man. I just want to, just quickly, we don't have to go too deep into this, but Ian Kennedy from the Hockey News tweeted out the idea, now that the PWHL has expanded to 8 teams, is it time for an all-star game in what would be their 3rd season? Like I said, up to 8 teams.
Interesting.
Just generally speaking, I'm not in favor of more all-star games. They're almost all bad. I used to really like baseballs, which is what everybody says, right? Because there's no physicality. There's no whatever. Like, maybe your guy on the mound isn't throwing as hard as he could, but it's still the truest to the sport. The NBA All-Star Game stinks. The Pro Bowl stinks. Awful. The NHL All-Star Game stinks. And so I'm just kind of like, I don't know how bad we need it in the PWHL, but it is also a bit of a status thing, right? Like pro leagues do it. Maybe we should do it. Do you have any thoughts on, the idea of it helping signify that they've arrived versus, but it's probably not going to be very good, right?
If there's any league that I would trust to try to do something a little bit better, it would be the PWHL. Right? They've been pretty open to trying different rules.
Yep. Experimenting a little. Yeah.
And I think if they took that same mentality into doing an all-star, maybe not even call it an all-star game, a showcase or something to that effect. And
sure.
Maybe doing it 3-on-3 or 4-on-4. I understand the effect of having it be a status thing. I'm sure it would be great for women's sports because, you'd have all the sponsors and you could get some fans out.
Yep.
It's a little bit more of an accessible league too because of the price range. Now, here's where it might be a good idea and where I was just about to say maybe it's a bad idea. I watch the PWHL. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, I watch Toronto more than anybody else.
Yep.
I couldn't tell you more than 2 to 3 players on any other team.
Okay.
So now I was like, that's
the way a lot of people watch sports, right? Like how many people knew more than 2 or 3 White Sox earlier today when we were watching the Jays? And
I couldn't tell you anybody about the pitcher, right?
Because he was dominating us. Yes.
Oh man, yeah. I know.
And we'll get to it. Yeah.
But again, if you put on a showcase, you put eyes on the product, and you're able to get more people to notice you, right? So, like earlier this year, I was at a Jays game and they had 3 Scepters throughout the pitch.
Sure.
Opening pitch. They didn't go with Nurse, who we all know was technically a free agent at that point.
Sure.
Although I think she was at the game. They didn't go with Spooner, who I know was at the game.
Right.
They went with 3 other players to get their names out there. And
sure.
I thought, hey, what a great idea, right? Like,
yeah, Nurse has been on the cover of the fucking video game. Like, we know who Sarah Nurse is. Let's broaden this a little, right? Like,
so I think if they do a showcase, maybe not again a full all-star game. I don't even know if at 8 teams you have enough players to do it.
Can I throw something at you that is dawning on me as we have this conversation? And you quite rightfully have used the term showcase. Don't we do this every April in the gold medal game of the Women's Worlds? Like, isn't that the all-star game for the league? Like, we watch fantastic hockey in the gold medal game at the Olympics and at the World Championships. It's always a barn burner. I get that's not under the league umbrella, and there would be some players from other countries that would manage to get into this that wouldn't be in that gold medal game. But you are talking about, like, the pinnacle of, well, for us Canadians, in a lot of cases, like women's sports. It is every year we get at least, the couple times we play the Americans. I feel like this would fall short of that and also kind of land somewhere in the neighborhood of the rivalry tour, which I don't know if that's going to continue, but it has a little bit right outside. So we already kind of see a bit of it. And yet I understand it for, like we talked about, relevance, right? Like this is what big leagues do. They have all-star games and show off their product and bring in sponsors and season ticket holders in that market and have a skills comp and all of that. So I sort of get the appeal, but I feel like right now, while we're still in this transition period, as long as we have women's worlds every year, the Olympics every 4 years, and the rivalry tour, you've almost kind of seen it, right? Like the best of the best.
I do understand that, but as you brought up the skills part, like point of view, that is the one thing about the NBA All-Star Weekend and the WNBA All-Star Weekend, which are the most exciting, right? We want to see whatever stupid skill, thing they've come up with this year. Even the NFL did something weird like that, right? Like catching balls with one hand, catching balls with the left hand, a jumping catch.
Yeah.
As silly as it is, you get to see a player without a helmet, with less padding. You get to see them. You just get to make more of a connection with them as a fan. And I mean, what came from the WNBA All-Star Game, right? All of a sudden, they're inviting them to the NBA All-Star Game to do 3-point shots.
Sure. And we've seen the same thing in the NHL, like some 3-on-3 competitions there at the intermissions, or even Kendall Coyne skating in the fastest skater. Like they've done some cool stuff.
That, or there was like the Deke or something like that. Like there's ways to, unfortunately we live in a world of TikTok and Twitter, and you need to have memorable moments.
Viral moments.
Viral moments. There we go.
Yep.
You can tell who's the younger one here, right? But you need to have viral moments, right? So if you do have a showcase and you have, whatever, the one-on-one goalie and shooter, you got the somebody picking off, 4 shots and 4 targets that can go viral, I think that's important. And you have to have the option.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe it's not like a 3-day event like the NHL does, which is a waste.
Yeah. But
is it a bad thing under the PWHL banner to, again, not have it be US versus Canada, but have it be East versus West or North versus South, or however they want to work it out? You grab 3 players from each team. Again, you're not doing a full 5-on-5, but it's more about the skills. It's more about like a 3-on-3 tournament. I think there's some marketing there.
Yeah.
And again, getting these women, these amazing athletes in front of the camera, doing interviews. Anytime you can get them on camera, I think it's worth it.
I worry a little about growing too fast. I was on side with expansion until I saw the expansion rules, and then I was like, that was too much. You overshot it. You overdid. The other thing that we all were talking about this season was, you sort of started the season, 2 games, then had to take this long break for the European championships. Then you come back. Then there was another long break, around not U18, but Women's Worlds. And like the schedule is already kind of busted up a lot. And so until they get that figured out, I don't know if we need another weekend off either, where it sort of stops the season again. But it's an interesting debate. And
100%. I think that is a huge issue. It's obviously been an issue with like a team like TFC and MLS, when you start to take breaks, and then with TFC, you end up getting players who go on for international duty, and then you're playing 2 games with a bunch of subs.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that. Growing pains for sure for the PWHL. Again, I only know how they're being perceived in the Toronto market, and they do get a lot of TV time here. There's certain bars in at least my neighborhood that will put signs out. We're playing the Scepters game today.
Sure, yeah.
Which I was surprised at, but loved.
Sure.
Because there's enough bars that play Raptors or the Leafs or whatever. So kind of marketing to that, I think is great.
Or even like on a Saturday afternoon, the Leafs aren't even on yet. And you're like, you go into the bar and they're playing whatever, Red Wings Flyers. And you're like, why would you not have the local women's team on? Like, this is an easy slam dunk, keep people interested in the Toronto thing. And
the number of times I've had to ask at my local bar, which is too local, so a little bit away, but for them to change the TV over to like a WNBA game.
Yeah.
Which is of way more importance than, again, like I remember seeing like San Antonio versus Portland on TV. And I'm like, why are we watching this when we've got like Caitlin Clark on TV?
Right.
You know, like, what are we doing?
Well, why don't we stay here for a moment since you have brought up Caitlin Clark? The fact that we did see unveiled this week the cover athletes for the new NBA video game coming out, man.
Yes.
SGA is on it, as is Reese, Angel Reese, right? Which is an ongoing story, that rivalry and everything that goes into it. There was also a big write-up in one of these publications, I can't even remember which one now, on like looking your best. They sort of interviewed both of them on like having your eyelashes done before your cover photo for the EA video game and whatever else. But, you know, SGA right now, man, is on a run of all runs as far as Canadian athletes go, especially in the NBA. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up with you is you're old as shit, much like myself. And so
yes, correct.
So you remember when Steve Nash did the back-to-back NBA MVPs and how there was a case to be made, if I recall, that he would have been full value for a third. But that would have put him in such a class that the NBA was just never going to allow this Canadian point guard to reach that level. And so
this white guy with long floppy hair,
right?
This tiny white
who'd
boy
quite
from
frankly rather be
BC.
playing for the Whitecaps, in Vancouver. Yeah. So they didn't let him quite get there. And look, we don't know if SGA will stay at that, ever win 2 or 3 MVPs. It's a very hard thing to do. But he is coming off a season. Even if you leave out the Olympic thing from last year and the qualifier from the year before, this year he is a league MVP. He is a finals MVP. He signs an ungodly new contract that makes him, for the moment, the highest. Yeah.
I was going to say, when you're reading out those accolades, don't forget he won the scoring title.
Yeah. And
which
now
puts him in, which
I saw there was only like
Steve
5
Nash,
or 7 athletes ever in the
5.
NBA. Yeah.
And there's like 5 of them. And he's one of them. He's number 5 now, who have done leading the league in scoring, league MVP, finals MVP.
Right.
It is, and they are all GOATs.
Right. I remember a couple of weeks ago or a month ago or whenever this happened, reading out the list and just being like, you are on a level here now, at least for this year. And look, we can talk about the contract thing, but that's how this goes. Like right now, Leon Draisaitl's the highest paid player in the league. Is he the best player on his own team? No, but his contract came up at the right time. This is how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, last year it was Jaylen Brown.
Right.
Which is, who was the guy, and I think we even talked about it here on Talkhand.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown, again, coming off a title, even though he's the number 2 guy, he's going to get the max.
Right.
The cap goes up. He's all of a sudden the highest paid player in the NBA for
a
however
moment.
many weeks or months that lasted.
Right.
But, we all have to accept that's kind of how salary caps work, right?
Yeah. Like you don't... As a casual
Unless you're
NBA
in the NHL
fan,
where it doesn't go up.
Yeah, exactly. As a hardcore NBA fan or a casual NBA fan, it's just a question of understanding that, like, for this moment, this guy signed this deal right now. He earned it with the year that he had, and I'm just sort of curious if you can put into context the player, the impact on the NBA that SGA is versus the last time a Canadian was on this level with Steve Nash.
Oh man, what a question. I hate to give you a backdoor answer here, but we don't know yet. He had an all-time season, right? With nobody can argue that. There was the question even last year if he could have been the MVP. It had been the battle between Jokic and Embiid and stuff. And again, they didn't want to give Jokic 3 in a row.
Right.
We did get an Embiid one in there.
Yeah, what has it been now? 7 years since an American won it? Let's go, Team World. Let's do it.
Yeah, right. And listen, there is in that league a little bit of like the U.S. versus everybody else. We have to acknowledge that. SGA is also part of the new breed of players, right? He's not just interested in basketball. He's interested in things like fashion. He's doing cover photos. He's doing fashion weeks, much like Wemby and San Antonio. They're young. They're different than the players we grew up with, right? They're not the late 90s thugs,
right?
Tough, hard basketball.
Well, similar to the change the NBA or NHL went through, obviously not quite the same, but straight ties, black suits, that's it, versus guys now going, I got a little fashion sense. I'm willing to.
Like Willie and stuff, right?
Sure, yeah.
But so to say what is the impact going to be, listen, I think he plays a very specific type of basketball that I'm not sure other people can emulate, right? We talk about every time somebody tries to tell me LeBron James is the greatest of all time, I tell them he's not even the best player in his generation, right? It was Steph Curry, because Steph Curry changed the game, right? He changed the game.
Yes, he did.
He got people. He showed that you could be a smaller player, a thinner player. You could be a distributor and a scorer. Now,
got everybody taking threes.
Now, might have gone a little too far the other way with too many people taking too many crazy threes.
Sure.
But a lot of people got better at threes because of Steph Curry.
Yeah.
SGA is a little bit more. He plays a little bit more of, I don't want to say an old school game, but he takes a lot of long twos, right? Those 14, 15 footers, but he does it in a way he's got this evasiveness and a first step that really throw people off that I don't know. I mean, what I want to say is I think that's a God-given talent.
Yeah.
Right? Because anybody can like stutter step, shake, and try to go one way, but only some people can make it look so like a flow and make it look easy that he does. That's not something a guy like Kyle Lowry could do, right?
Sure.
Kyle Lowry is too thick and boxy, right? He moves like you and me. SGA,
sorry, buddy.
Sorry,
Kyle.
Bit, hey, man, listen, he's on his 20th season. He knows he moves like you and me. Like, don't forget that. I think SGA's just got this talent to be evasive, get open, knock down these layups and teardrop shots that a lot of people can't do. He reminds me of the old school point guards, to be honest with you. But I do think he's part of this younger generation of guys like Jalen Green and Wemby, Scotty Barnes, that are a little like, they're just younger generation. They like doing TikToks. They like showing their fashion off. They're very friendly.
So I guess
we won't know for a couple years, right? Until we see like that next generation.
Yeah. And that's what I'm sort of curious about.
How they kind of respond to this, right? The guys who are 12, 13 years old now who are like, that's my favorite player. Now in 3-4 years when we're watching, North Carolina and Duke and stuff play the NCAA, and we're like, oh, hey, all these guys are playing like SGA, right? Like that's what we're going to see it 3 years from now, 4 years from now.
But
he's been good for 3 years.
For sure. But I'm curious, is he now in that top 3, top 5 player in the league conversation? Or to contextualize this for those of us who don't follow the NBA as tightly, he's a very good player, but this is like when Taylor Hall won MVP. And he was deserving that year, but he was never going to do it again, is sort of my question, right?
I think he's top 3 players in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
Right? He's put up 32 plus points a year for the last 3 years. He's finally, obviously this team around him is very good, historically good defensively, which is funny because in the finals they were not. Up until the finals, they were like a historically good team. Like we're talking 2000s Pistons, historically good team.
And that's such a great comparison, like even from a novice like myself that knows that was not a team that got by on like high-end run-and-gun offense. Those guys knew how to defend and wear you down, right? Which has seemed like to me that's what OKC was. Now, a little maybe more offensive punch than those Pistons, but that was a defense team, right? Like
the defensive team, and the scoring only happened with SGA. he was everything for that team. When he didn't have a good game, they didn't have a good game. If they have another scorer, who knows what happens with that team, right? We could be looking at a dynasty right now, right?
They're
and
young,
I know
yeah.
every time a younger team wins, everybody did this with Boston last year. Oh, this could be a dynasty.
Right.
What happens? And Achilles, they didn't have a great season as much as they should have. They were still good.
Yeah.
We have an Achilles injury to their best player. Now all of a sudden they're selling off
Which
all
has
the other
become a
pieces.
fucking pandemic at the moment, man. Maybe an epidemic.
I mean, listen, don't get me.
Yeah.
You can get me riled up on a 20-minute conversation about why there's Achilles injuries and all these 20-something-year-olds right now. But it's mostly because all their trainers they get are off Instagram and not proper medical
Education.
and personal trainers who have education, and they got them doing stupid shit. Plus all these guys who have in the league right now who are in that 25 to 29-year-old age range, they all mostly came up through that AAU system where they were playing 6-7 games every weekend.
Right.
And they're focused on winning, not on skill development necessarily. Then they go to college and it's right to the pros. These guys, it's like those old school running backs from college who would do like 2,000 yards in college, and then you wonder why after 2 years in the NFL they're broken down. Right? Everybody has that amount, but like I digress because that's a whole.
Sure.
You will get me going on why
I did
these
this.
guys have
It's my
issues.
fault. I steered it into a physio area, and Matty took the ball and put his head down.
Yeah, there is many issues I have with how these guys train, and I think it's directly related to why they're having so many Achilles injuries, right down to the shoes, man. The fact that, and the last thing I'll say, and it might have been Kobe's fault. I hate to say it, but when he came out with, I can't remember which version of his shoe, but it was when he had left Adidas and gone to Nike, he started going with the low cut shoe.
No.
And it was one of the top shoes for years. I think guys like DeRozan still use them. Then you got the KDs, which are similar. I think they're the most popular
That kind of
right
lateral
now.
movement, man, even an idiot like me knows high cut, man. High support that ankle. Like
We've even got the big guys, right? The power forwards and centers using these low cut shoes now.
these
I'm like,
loafers.
what are we doing here?
So this is where we have to pull
I don't
Matt.
know.
Matt does physio back from the brink, and
Get him off the soapbox. Get him off the soapbox.
And just to wrap this sort of topic, as we sit here right now, we'll see who has the better career. We'll see what SGA can do into his, later ages. But right now,
I know where you're going with this, but it's SGA.
Is he better? Is he more talented? Is he a greater player, at this pace than Steve Nash?
I think if you take Steve Nash's best season and you compare it to this past SGA season,
Yeah.
SGA has the best Canadian one season.
That's the way to frame this. Until
Okay.
SGA is further into his career,
Because again, we don't know. Steve Nash is very lucky he didn't get injured until later in his career.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid. Hope obviously SGA has a long, great career and also has a great Olympics next year.
Yeah,
for Canada.
Couple years, but yeah.
Man, if he stays healthy and this OKC team could go on a run. Not going to say they're going to win 3 in a row, but they're going to be semifinals, finals for another couple years. The way they've got these guys
are
locked up already.
Yeah,
they've already got these guys locked up, and if they can add, 1 or 2 guys here and there every year, I mean, this could be a very, very dangerous team.
I'm going to bring you back to basketball a little later on because I do want to get your take on the whole Masai Ujiri thing and him leaving Toronto. But for the moment, let's get to some Toronto Blue Jays. They lose on Wednesday afternoon. A bit of a pretty big clunker to the White Sox.
Yeah, felt like it now. Felt like it was coming though. I don't know why.
It did. Like anybody who wins 10 in a row, you're almost waiting for the wheels to come off, and not to derail your season, but to be like, you don't win forever. At some point, this is going to. You're going to
lose at some point, and I got to tell you, when you told me earlier today it was an afternoon game, I immediately went, "Oh fuck!" I don't know why, but I was like, "Oh fuck!" It's a travel day. Yeah. The lineup's going to be different. Some of the guys are going to already be thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah,
it had the feeling of that that trap game for them.
And like, even with this clunker of a game, they're in it all the way, right? They are one swing of the bat and they just lose by one.
Yeah.
And look, it's a loss and it was not a good looking loss, but you know, this is a team that in past years can let those get away from you a little bit and make it in some, like, even if they don't get blown out, they end up down 4-1 in the third inning and you're like, these fuckers are never coming back. This team doesn't have that feel. This team, you know, still right down to the very end, like they're pinch hitting and bringing in, you know, Kirk to pinch hit. I'm like, fucking guy might just swat one out right now, right? And tie the game. Like it had that feel. And it's still reasonably new, man. Like they went 4-2 on a reasonably tough road trip, Cleveland and Boston. They come home, sweep the home stand, including 4 games against the Yankees, because I'm going to point that out every single time I can.
Every time.
Sweep the Angels. 2 of those
Yankees.
go to extra. Yes. 2 of those games against the Angels go to extras, and you pull those out. Like, there's some coin flips in here that have gone your way. You beat the White Sox 2 out of 3. Like, it stinks when you lose the last one, but you did grab the series day off and then out to Sacramento to play the Athletics. You're down there, man. Boots on the ground in Toronto. You watch every day regardless, but are you getting any kind of vibe around town? Is it sort of catching on?
Buddy. Oh, buddy. We talked about this. I think this might have been the last time I was on, just before the season opened.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying to you, nobody cares right now. Yes, the Leafs were going on, but there was no care. There was no chatter. And I think we were both pretty critical of the offseason the last 2 years. And I think we were both pretty critical of the construction of the team, period. And I think that's fair because they weren't good at the beginning.
They weren't bad, but they weren't good.
I think the Vlad thing was a little bit of a distraction as well.
Yes, it was.
I did go to a game probably a month in, and to be perfectly honest, it was because it was a day game, and I found out that Strider, who had just come off of his Tommy John surgery, was going to be pitching for the first time, and I've been a big Strider fan. I wanted to go see what he looked like and how he looked. Now, he wasn't great, obviously, first game back,
yeah.
He did pitch pretty well in the minors in his warm-up games, but, wasn't great. You could see he wasn't hitting his fastball where it was a little bit uncontrollable.
Yeah.
And, me and my buddy picked up the $20 general admission tickets, and we watched it mostly from the 100 level. And I was like, God damn it, these Jays are scrappy. Because they beat Strider and the Braves, not with the long ball. It was single, walk, double, single. And it was just these guys from AAA Buffalo.
Basically,
and I'm like,
man.
Oh, this is a scrappy team. Okay, cool. Well, that was fun. And then again, you go back and you start to watch them, and they're messing around 500 and whatever. I went to a game against the A's Friday night. My mom wanted to go because she wanted to get the free swag, the Toronto Night Mode free swag.
Nice,
stuff.
yeah.
So we ended up with the Vladdy Guerrero Night Mode hockey jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Which, honestly, I thought was going to be total crap, but it was actually pretty well made, to be honest.
I'm honestly not as down on the Night Mode stuff as some people. I
like it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like it. I like that they do it every Friday as well.
Sure.
Kind of gives it's going to be something different on the Friday.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I know, again, it's the A's.
Yep.
Now, the Jays were playing a little bit better by this point. The A's aren't a bad team. They can be scrappy.
Yep.
The Jays, just fundamental. Great defense, good pitching.
Well, for people who don't remember, swept them. Yeah.
Yeah.
4 games.
Not reliant on a guy like Gossman to strike out 10 guys, right?
Yeah.
You can put the ball in play because that infield is going to swallow everything up.
Mm-hmm.
The outfield's amazing, even without a guy like Varsho right now. And then it was after that, they swept the A's, and then all of a sudden they started to pick up steam on things, right? There's certain things this team is doing fundamentally well. outside of today, their base running.
Today, yes.
And listen, I don't fault Vladdy trying to go from first to third on that wild pickoff move.
Sure.
Because I think he gets around second. He knows the ball goes into left field. Third baseman runs up. He's like, I got to go for it, right? The pitcher picked it up. That's all that happened, right? The pitcher realized it at the same time. If the pitcher waits for Vladdy to go, Vladdy's safe.
Right.
And I think it was a 0-0 1-0 game at that point. Yeah, go for it, man. I don't care if it's Barger at bat. Just go for it. You got to be aggressive sometimes.
Look, you can overlook those mistakes if the rest of his day doesn't go the way that it went, right?
Yeah,
the
he had a
ground
bad
into
day.
double play.
He had a bad day, right?
Yeah.
Vladdy had a bad day.
It sort of compounded onto itself. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's interesting to look at these guys probably back around the time that you're talking about, May 27th, it was late May. They're 2 games under 500. They're playing the Rays. They just got beat 13-0. They're 2 games under 500, and you got to be careful in baseball, as you know. 13-0. Yeah, it stunk. That wasn't fun to watch. Fuck, I hate these guys tonight. Whatever. But one game is still one game of 162.
Correct.
But no one could have seen then, and the time you're talking about, being at the game and going, these guys are kind of scrappy. It's the AAA guys, and they're sort of figuring it out, and they're running the bases a little better. From there, certainly from the moment I'm talking about after the 13-0 loss, there is no part of me going, those guys are about to get hot and take over the division. I do still think, there's a chance to hang around at the bottom of the wild card race, maybe get in, maybe not. But that was sort of my expectation for this team, was a couple games over 500, be in the race. And, you win 10 in a row and whatever it's been, and put yourself into first place by, I think it's 3.5 as we sit here right now, but the Yankees are playing.
They're up right now against Seattle.
Okay, so you could be down to 2.5 by the time you hear this, good listener. But to put yourself into that mix, look, I don't know if it's sustainable. I don't know if this is who they are right now, but, it is who they are right now. I don't know if it is who they are for the rest of the year. But man, it's been wild to watch. And yeah, that was why I asked you about the city itself. I thought it was it's never too soon, but people immediately, when you win a bunch in a row and you take over the division, everybody's always going to point to 2015, right? It's a crazy turnaround after the trade deadline, which was so much fun, man. I don't know if it's safe to say they're that yet, but a good stretch here to the deadline and an aggressive trade deadline, and now we can have that conversation. The Yankees are falling apart at the seams. They just DFA'd DJ LeMahieu. They've got numerous guys on the IL right now, guys going down for the year. Garrett Cole is done. Schmidt is done.
Schmidt's done,
Yeah, they're in a bad spot. And so the division is kind of there for the taking, and it's really fun to see, even on Twitter, more people are engaging in the conversation, right? More people are warming up to this, and it sort of feels like you're saying around Toronto, it's a palpable feel right now.
Oh, I'm a kilometer away from the Rogers Center, right? On game days, you can feel it. Because you see if it's a 7:07 start, around 5 o'clock, you start seeing Blue Jay shirts.
Right. The jerseys come out
on a Saturday at 3, whatever,
patios light up,
whatever.
Yep.
You start, Then you start seeing that at noon, right? You start seeing the people come in from Union.
Yeah.
You start seeing people in the neighborhood. They're dropping by the LCBO to go meet their friends before the game. They're going to the patio before the game. I don't remember this early in the year people being this excited about the Blue Jays.
Their record right now is better than, I guess, what I think it was the 93
Ever.
team. Well, at this point in the year, they've never been quite in this spot. Now, again, we'll see how the year's going to go. When you start to look at the deadline, do I want them to keep counting on Ernie Clement, or would I like to see an upgrade? Love you, Ern, but these are the things. Who's real? And who's, riding an all-time hot streak right now. And that's the tough part, right?
Don't forget, we get Varsho back.
Get Santander back.
His hamstring, unfortunately, after the shoulder, we had him for a couple weeks, and then his hamstring goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully he comes back. I mean, he's been the best outfield defender in the league the last
for a
2
couple
years.
of years. Yeah.
Plus, batting average not great, but he does
There's some
jack the
power
ball
in
from
there.
the left side,
Lefty
which
bat.
we need.
And the bullpen is you got Garcia
believe in
back,
Barger.
and then he disappears, and then you get Bird
Yes,
back, and then he
yes.
disappears. It's tough. You're right. Barger has been a revelation and so much fun to watch. You're seeing teams intentionally walk a guy they'd never heard of 2 months ago, right? Like he's been an awesome story.
He's been an awesome story, and I really want to believe this is him. I do, but we have to see it, right? So tempered expectations, but
Sure.
man, every time he gets up to bat, I'm so confident. I'm so confident in the pitches he takes and the ones he swings at.
Yeah.
His power, his ability to just drive singles sometimes past through the infield. The way he plays third base and right field at multiple positions, I'm like, this guy's a dog.
Got a fucking laser.
Is he a greatest of all time guy? No, but
Right.
is this guy? He reminds me of I'm going to say Davis Schneider, but better.
Sure.
Well,
I got to put this to you this way. I saw one of the baseball publications right now, and I put this to you, our degenerate gambler, has the Blue Jays at 91% to make the playoffs. Not win the division, but just to make the playoffs. That feel about right? That feel a little high? That feel a little low? Where are you at with 91% on your Jays?
91%. I mean, honestly, yeah, that seems right. Again, go back to the fact that the Yankees have lost 2 starting pitchers, aren't hitting particularly well.
No.
Really depend on Judge getting pitched to.
Sure. Just walk the fucker. Just walk that guy and move on.
The Red Sox have been better than expected, but I don't think they're that great right now, to be honest.
Baltimore, way worse than expected. Tampa's hanging around, though. Now, interesting
Always.
about Tampa, in that stadium, in the situation they're in, they are about to play 2/3 of their remaining games on the road because no one wanted them playing in Florida in that stadium outdoors in the dead of summer. So we'll see. It doesn't have to mean bad news, but it usually means bad news when you got to play that heavy a road schedule down the stretch. But right now, those fuckers never go away. We'll see.
I'm going to bring in a little NFL here for you.
Do it.
There's always that betting trend that no matter how good a team is, if they're playing a 3rd road game in a row, they're probably going to lose or at least not cover.
Right.
And we're talking about the NFL where it's once a week. So you go home.
Yeah. Sleep
During
in
the
your own
rest of the
bed,
week.
get recovery.
But if you're traveling for a 3rd week, statistically, it's not good.
Yeah.
So again, we look at Tampa, and we've all known this all year, playing in that stupid single A.
Yes.
It's embarrassing. Yankees, what is it, Steinbrenner Stadium or whatever it is.
Yeah. Mini Yankee.
Listen, listen, the Trop is embarrassing anyways.
Yeah.
But this is even more embarrassing.
Even more so now. Yeah.
So if they're going to go on the road for these 2-week stretches.
Right. Over and over and over.
Getting rid of for a pro athlete when you don't have your schedule, these guys are creatures of habit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that, things fall off. That's all I'll say, right? Things won't keep going as well as they've been going. Thankfully.
Are things going to go any better for the CFL East than what we've seen so far?
No. No.
Moving on. Next subject. Yeah, no, it's man. I don't know how many years it can look like this.
Are we finally going to get a crossover?
The other way, the
team?
West coming out, and I don't know, man.
Right, because if the 4th place team could cross over, right, to the 3rd, that's the rule, right? Yeah,
we have seen it. I think
happening?
BC came out a couple of years ago, or more than a couple, pre-pandemic. My brain is mud on time. But yeah, it's not even I see any monsters out west, right? But it's just bad football, and maybe I'm just tainted by what's happening here in the nation's capital, and people are getting super fed up with just losing the same way over and over.
Well, losing
right?
to the Argos. or
Yes.
an awful team? Is
Yeah.
that why you guys are fed
That's
up? 'Cause
getting
I'd be fed up.
upsetting a little bit. Yeah. And you've taken to the CFL, man. In the early days, for those who are new around here, when I would bring up the CFL, Matty would just sort of, yeah, it's cute. Like he'd just sort of check out on it. But he is engaged now. He is a regular around BMO on game days for the CFL. You'll see him there in his
Right.
luchador outfit, and he's
Right in the fan zone. Right in the fan zone. 9 times out of 10, playoffs get the luchador. You get the luchador mask. Always in the fan section. Always yelling. This year, the problem is I'm yelling at the Argos.
right. So
I'm yelling at Arbuckle because he's a pathetic excuse for a quarterback. Which, might I add,
well, the alternative is a pathetic excuse
first
for
time
a
I saw
human,
Arbuckle,
so-
he was starting for the Red Blacks,
Yes,
and I was
that's
sitting
right.
with you.
Yes, it didn't go any better. I think was that not like 27-3 or something? Like that was an all-time dog's breakfast of a game we saw up here. But
It was so bad. I remember asking you if I went down to the field, they would let me play.
So when you look at the Argos, man, are they this bad? Are they on the verge of turning it around? Like the whole East Division is just, except Montreal, who looks like the class of the division again. Everybody else is still trying to convince themselves, well, it's injury this and scheme that, and if they fixed this at practice and that guy got healthy. I don't know, man. It just looks like a lot of mediocre teams in this division. Is there anything you're seeing down in Toronto that leads you to believe, couple of weeks, couple of fixed this, couple of healthy that, and they're going to be any better? Or is this what they are?
I need to add one thing in first. You said even in the West, you don't see any like juggernauts, any monsters.
Yeah.
But to me, that means you haven't watched Uyet run over everybody in Saski.
Sure.
He was.
I meant monster
the Argos,
teams, but you're right. There are specific.
He is a monster.
Yes.
I mean, that is the one guy going back now, 2 years or 3 years from the Argos when they decided not to spend the money to bring him back. I was like, what a stupid effing decision. Because that guy is just a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Made for the CFL, right? If he was 2 inches bigger, he'd be in the NFL.
Yep.
Right? Just a monster of a man. Anytime you see TSN highlights on CFL, it's always him just running for 50 yards and scaring the shit out of people. And I digress.
He looks like that classic, 100 years ago episode of South Park where, Stan and Kyle and those guys get to play the Detroit Red Wings, like the actual Detroit Red Wings. It doesn't go well.
Yeah. He is a man you do not want to meet in a small alleyway, right?
Right.
Like that.
Right.
He kind of looks a little bit like a caveman, to be honest, but
yeah.
He might be the best running back in the league still. I don't know. One of the biggest mistakes I think the Argos have made recently. Now, man, you ask about the Argos.
Yeah.
Listen, and again, 2021, 2022 is when I really dig in as an Argo fan, right? And start going to games, most home games.
Yeah.
Goes back to 2017 when you took me to the Grey Cup and we, that very mediocre Argos team led by Ricky Ray somehow upset the Stampeders. And we were pretty happy about that.
Yeah, we were, man. That was fun.
During the festival and, Canadian podcast, I'm sure most of you guys know, good listeners, CFL does a festival weekend, right?
Oh, yeah.
So all the fan bases hold parties and the stupid MFers of the Calgary Stampeders were just boring.
It felt like
nobody cared.
Going to your corporate Christmas party or something.
It was awful.
It was brutal.
It was the worst party that we went to. And we went to some pretty shady parties.
We did. We went to one Winnipeg party that was like us and 5 old guys, and they bought us
but
a
they
shot.
did buy us drinks.
That's right. So it was. So that's why they get to be ranked ahead of Calgary.
Yeah, exactly. But nonetheless, Calgary sucks.
Yeah.
And Ricky Ray is an all-time great. That's how we're going to end that one.
Fair enough.
So it's been a good decade now. I've been paying attention to the Argos a little bit more, right? One thing about the Argos, no matter how bad that team has ever been in the last 10 years, their defense has always been an anchor. This Argos team, fuck, man, it's embarrassing to watch them play defense. It's absolutely embarrassing. And, you know, talking to some fans at the game this past week when Bo Levi Mitchell put up a perfect passer rating, mind you, threw for 320 yards, but he didn't even need to because the game got out of hand so quickly. Right. 3 touchdowns to Lawler, and they were all like 60-yard throws, or
sure,
yards after
but
catch.
Torch to the Toronto D, right?
Yeah,
like
just absolutely torched them. And everybody's complaining about our secondary. And granted, I looked up the stats. Our secondary, we don't have more than like 2 passes deflected per game, right? Not great, right?
No.
I don't think we have more than like 3 interceptions all year, and maybe 2 forced fumbles. Our defense has not been good. We've been giving up, I think we're 7th or 8th in points. It's terrible. But my buddy who, for context, played CIS football, said to me, and this gave me context, yeah, we're getting mad at the defense, but they're playing the entire fucking game.
Yeah.
And I went,
it's always what happens, right? When you're left on the field. Yeah.
They're tired, man. He's like, you're yelling at Arbuckle, rightfully so. But when you go 2 and out, you get the ball 2 and out, and then you're back on the field.
Yep.
And you're back on the field, and you're back on the field. Listen, the Argos ran the exact same sequence of plays 3 times in a row on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
They ran a fake bootleg to the left where Arbuckle hands the ball off to whichever running back we're using this week, and fake bootlegs keeps running to the left. The running back runs in and gets stopped at the line. Okay?
Yep.
The second play, we have 2 slot receivers, both go in motion, and he hits one of them for a pass completion of 5 to 6 yards, because that's as far as he can throw accurately. And it's up to the receiver to get the extra yards. So how many times did we get 1 yard on the first play, and we got 7 yards on the second play,
right,
and we punt the fucking ball? When I tell you it was 3 times in a row, it might have been more, because I recognized it, and I'm sitting in the fan zone, the end zone, so I could see them set up
under a mask.
This is what are we gonna really run this fucking play again?
Right.
And I'm like, I would be okay if they just switched it. Did the slot receiver pass first and ran it? They finally did that, and they got a first down. And I'm thinking, because the defense didn't think you could possibly be that stupid.
Right.
Right?
They're off guard with a little creativity.
No way you could do this, right?
Yeah.
No chance to throw it down. So many times we saw a post open, and he takes the easy, he takes the easy pass on an out route instead of a post, because he doesn't trust his arm. I don't know if he's too small, he can't see over the line, but this guy has 0 confidence. And obviously with the play calling, the coaches have no confidence in him. Mm-hmm. So as a fan, I'm like,
why would
do we not have anybody better? Why are we even putting this guy out there? Because he's just out there as a placeholder. We know he's just out there as a placeholder until Chad Kelly comes back. But Jesus Christ, give the team a chance to win a fucking game before, Argos are what? 1-4.
Well, you mentioned the name there, and it's a name nobody really wants to talk about it in the CFL circles, but he is still around, and he is still a good player. Chad Kelly,
still a very good quarterback.
That's right. So he's about to come back into the mix. Right now, Ottawa's getting ready for the first of like a home and home here with Hamilton. Is it that simple for Toronto? Like, will Chad Kelly solve enough problems in terms of running a better offense, which in turn will keep the defense off the field a little bit, that will make them the second best team in what is kind of just a muddy, not very good East? Or do you think Hamilton or Ottawa, or like it's just kind of mediocre?
Matt, I'm gonna be very honest with you.
Yeah.
Having a quarterback who can throw 10 yards down the field is very important.
It's pretty important, yeah.
It's last time I checked, putting the ball in a receiver's hands as he's moving forward,
Sure.
pretty fucking important.
Yes.
Having a guy who can control the huddle is very important. Having the defense not know that you're going to run every fucking down, it's pretty fun. The Argos have run, I looked this up and I did the math, and you're going to appreciate that I actually did this much work for today. The Argos in 5 games have 231 running yards.
In 5
231
games.
running yards.
Yikes.
In 5 games. That's 46 yards a game.
Pathetic.
There is no way you could be a good football team and do that.
Yeah.
And the only reason you're not doing that is because the defense knows you have to run. In a league that's a throwing league because it's 3-down football.
Has to be.
It is fucking embarrassing, dude. So yes, as much as I hate to say it, and Argo fans are pretty much all the same from the ones I've talked to, we're all like, yeah, well, we wish we had a different guy, but fuck, yeah, we kind of can't wait till Chad Kelly comes back.
Yeah. Have somebody competent under there.
And at least until he's under pressure in the playoffs. But because he hasn't always been good in those situations.
No. Well, speaking of having somebody competent in charge, MLSE took a look at Masai Ujiri and went, nah.
Jesus.
We'll be better off without him. And look, I love Masai. Again, we covered this earlier as a fairly novice, fairly casual, but interested basketball fan. Love Masai. Love the outward stuff, the PR stuff, the fuck Brooklyn kind of stuff. Also love the stability, the take this organization from being the mess that it was and putting it on the map to not just win a championship, but create stability, a team that was worth watching, a team that was worth playing for, a team that would compete until at least it ran into LeBron in the second round every year or what. And sometimes it's just like that, right? Like
sometimes it's third round, sometimes
that's sure. So I really appreciated Masai. There was a piece, this maybe was 2 summers ago, maybe even 3, that Elliot Friedman teamed up with Michael Grange to write on what was happening throughout MLSE. And that's when they first reported that when they gave Masai Ujiri his extension, the reason it took so long was because Edward Rogers and the Rogers side of this unholy alliance at the time didn't think he was worth paying as a top executive in the league. It wasn't necessary. Now, since then, Rogers has fully engulfed MLSE and booted out Bell, has controlling shares. They can outvote Larry should he bother to stand up and argue. And we have seen what they have done with that, right? Manning at TFC and at the Argos out as president. Shanahan as president of the Leafs out. And you could sort of start to go, they didn't love Ujiri before. Only 1 year left on this deal. Maybe I shouldn't have been as surprised as I was that they actually let him walk at least a year early. Like I kind of thought, even if they're done with Masai, he'll get this year, and then everybody leaves and shakes hands. It's been a good run. Whatever you want to paint it PR-wise. This was clearly, in my mind, Edward Rogers like, no, now. Like, fuck this guy. Get this guy out of my organization. I don't care. I'll pay him, but he's gone. He's done. I might be being a little overdramatic, Matty, but you've obviously got much closer eyes on the Raptors and what this organization has been through. Were you surprised that it happened? Surprised by the timing? Not surprised at all? What did you make of the way Masai Ujiri left the organization?
I just want to say, Matt, I don't come on the show a lot. When I do, I always try to think of something kind of fun to kind of like, when you let the good listener know I'm coming on, right?
Yeah.
A little like something to jazz it up, right? And I went with John Cena today.
You did.
And I feel like, what did you say? Like, oh, we got this, Matt. You've taken me from, face good guy John Cena And as we've had this conversation, you're taking me to current John Cena. You're taking me to heel John Cena, where I'm just angry about everything, right? Like our conversation about the Argos was not fun for me.
Sure.
I can hear it in my voice. I can hear the anger. And now you're asking me about Masai, and I could just feel myself, the blood boiling, right? I'm feeling this, the last time. You can't see me. This is what you brought out of me today.
This is when he moves from the light lager into the Guinness, the dark side.
I already did. I don't know if you heard it. I already opened that up. And that was not my intention. I don't know if that, but this is where we are. We're in heel Matty now, right?
Okay.
So, Masai and the Rogers. If you are insinuating to me that Ed Rogers got rid of Masai because he didn't like the fact that Masai was the guy, and Ed Rogers is the son of the guy who put a statue of himself outside of Skydome after owning the team for 3 years. I don't know. Does that make sense? These egotistical motherfuckers. I still walk by that statue sometime and I think, what the fuck? Out of everybody who has a statue.
Yeah.
Like you go to the Scotiabank arena, and we've got Maple Leafs Row, right? Or the whatever they call that, the bench.
Legends Row, yeah.
Legends Row, thank you. Yeah. We all know at some point they're going to do a Raptor wedding.
Of course.
Please, God, make it Kyle Lowry first and DeMar second. And then you could put fucking Vince Carter and his bullshit up afterwards, but please make that Kyle. Anyways, you go by the Blue Jays, who you think back, 85, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 2015, 2016.
Can we get a Joe Carter statue? Can we get a Roy Halladay statue?
We're gonna skip Robbie, obviously.
We got a Cable Guys statue.
Can we do like a John Allrood? God damn it, the guy led the league in batting average.
Sure.
How about a Lloyd Mosby? How about a George Brett? I'm sorry, not George Brett. George Bell. Got so upset there, I got the name wrong. George Bell, MVP of the league, right?
Yeah. Here's
I don't know
Cable
if we're
Boy.
going to do a Josh Donaldson or not, but how many Cy Young Award winners do we have? Give me a Pat Hankin.
Give me a Roger Clem. No, don't do that.
Give me a Dave Steed.
Yep. No.
No.
You get Cable
Not
Boy.
a Jose Bautista either, which is obviously would be my vote.
Yep.
But fucking Ted Rogers outside the stadium that he owned for 3 years? What a bunch of bullshit. So yeah, is his son the same egotistical maniac? Fuck yeah, he is. And that's what I've heard, is that from day one, he, not so much with Brandon Shanahan, but definitely with Masai.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty easy to see why.
Mm-hmm.
He did not like that everything was Masai, that Masai was in charge. What the Raptors as an organization, or Rogers, didn't quite get is what Masai meant culturally to this city, what he meant culturally to the team. And I think that's the backlash you saw specifically on Twitter, because that's where, sports happen for the fans, but on other platforms as well. Masai was more than just the guy. Yes, he's the guy who brought us the championship. And yes, he's the guy we all think of who brought us the championship. Masai brought the championship. Masai brought a team that was, what were they, third, fourth worst in the league?
Rudy Gay, top guy.
Rudy Gay league. And that was the year I had bought my season tickets, right?
Yeah. Before
Masai came in. And you took out Rudy Gay and immediately the Raptors got better. And that's a guy who knows, hey, I know what to do. I can see people working together, right?
Well, if we throw another Matty Laing classic out there, right? Matty Laing could not stand Dwayne Casey.
Oh,
Matty Laing was
That's a
calling
callback.
for Dwayne Casey to be fired the year he won Coach of the Year. And
was I wrong?
And Matty Laing got on the horn, I guess, to Masai and said, "Hey, come on. What are we doing here? Dwayne Casey out the door, Nick Nurse in, off to the championship." Can I play devil's advocate for a second?
Oh, please.
Was it time? Because the team has gone through a bit of a rebuild, as teams do. You would know better than I would what this young group, like, I think we're all familiar with Scotty Barnes, but there's been some mixed success with some of the other guys that they have brought in. They've just brought another high draft pick in that I think shocked everyone on draft night. We'll see what that all looks like. Is there a reasonable argument, in your opinion, to be made that maybe it was just time for change? And look, I'm with you, obviously. I believe that's not what this was about. Edward Rogers did something personal here because this is his sandbox and Masai can't play it.
100%.
But if you're an NBA fan or media member, or could you objectively look at this and say, it's probably time for a new voice in Toronto? Or is that overstated? No,
not at all. Not at all. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. The NBA is probably the worst league at moving GMs, or I say moving, firing GMs, firing head coaches, right? It seems like during the season, there's constant movement. What are the teams that have the best success? When the Lakers had Jerry West as a figurehead, an advisor even as he got older, they were top of the league.
I guess you could make the counter argument that the Knicks have had the same owner for quite a while, and that hasn't quite produced stability.
Well, that doesn't discount idiot owners, though. Obviously.
No, it doesn't.
But sir, who's the other one I was thinking of? Miami, Pat Riley.
Yeah,
Pat Riley has been through rebuilds. Pat Riley has had bad teams.
Well, and this goes across sports. The Rooney's in Pittsburgh, up and down, but there's stability there. That's the Rooney show. The Belichick era in New England, right?
Stability, yes, exactly. Yeah. Stability. You allow your franchise to adopt a personality. And you know the type of players that team gets. And I think that was so fucking important for Toronto, because Toronto is the third biggest city in North America. But there's still players coming up from college who don't know Canada, right? Like, we have to accept the fact that there's a lot of Americans, which make up still 50% of the league, who don't have passports until they get to the league and they got to go to Canada.
It's the third largest market in North America, but it's still, perception-wise, like the 27th biggest market in the NBA.
Exactly. They don't understand what Toronto is as a city until they get here or experience it. And I mean, even before, let's say, honestly, from the Masai years, like, people he brought in, like Patterson, had these crazy stories of, like, I arrived, I had only played one game here and flown out. I get here and I'm in a jacket that's not the right jacket, and I'm looking for something, and somebody's like, hey man, you need a better jacket. Let me take you down the street to the store. Like, until people see stuff like that, they don't realize what the city is and what the city offers. The team needed that identity that Masai gave them. The team had never had in that time, even through the Vince Carter 2 years where he was good before he quit on everybody. We had never had an identity of, this is the type of player. You knew, even in the last couple of years, what were the Raptors looking for? Long, rangy guys, good on defense, gritty, tenacious. And they're just trying guys to see, like, who's the one who can, like, shoot threes.
Yep.
Or, you knew what we were cycling through, because we had an identity of the Raptors, as bad as they were, not necessarily last year, because last year was a lot of injuries, but the year before that, tenacious on defense. yeah, we couldn't score more than 100 points, but you knew what we were. And you knew the players we were looking for to bring in.
And I think, man, this is such a big part of it that you don't have to be an NBA expert, thank God, because I'm not, to recognize that I think part of what's happening here is, Keith Pelly now running the show on behalf of Edward Rogers at MLSE, and he thinks, to some degree, we don't need a president of the Leafs because
Correct.
I'm a Canadian and we all know hockey. I can help with hockey.
Sure, yeah.
I can do this job. You're like, okay, that scares the fuck out of me. But even, like they said, they're in no rush to replace Shanahan. They did say they will look for someone to replace Masai, but it feels very much like that will be like a business guy. I don't think they fully understand, the NBA, and more importantly, they don't understand that they don't understand the NBA.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. There it is. There it is.
If you are the 27th market and you're in Canada and you're going to have to rub kids' backs a little bit to convince them to come north of the border and it's going to be okay. Yeah, we can get you set up with one of those, Amazon Fire Sticks that still gets ESPN, right? You're going to be fine up here. You need Masai. And even if you can talk yourself into, it doesn't have to be Masai. This is you need a big NBA, well-known, well-regarded, who's going to build from Toronto, show
100%.
people that NBA people that Toronto is respected. There is someone here who gets it and can ease concerns and knows how to navigate the league. And look, if I thought they were firing Masai to go out and get Masai's equivalent, if that guy exists, or one level below, that would be fine.
Sure.
But they're not going to do that. They're going out and getting a guy who can hobnob with Toronto bankers on, signing on to be a sponsor this season or your cable deal or whatever. They don't understand that they don't understand. And that is a dangerous place to be, man.
It will not be until things go badly.
Which would take some time. He's built a foundation here. But
when did we see... Now, listen, the Shannon plan didn't work out.
Right.
But we can't say the Shannon plan wasn't mildly successful.
Yeah, compared to where they were. Yeah.
And why did we get there? Because the team got to a point that it was so pathetically mediocre that fans started throwing Eggo waffles on the ice, which I still don't really understand why.
I don't think anybody does, but...
There was jerseys for sure, but there was
Eggo
waffles.
Place. Yes.
And that was the only time since I've been, growing up in Toronto as a child where you could get day of tickets to the Leaf game.
There were boxes with the lights off. You never see that in Toronto.
People decided it was too expensive. Even though I've already paid for this, it's more expensive if
parking and food and beers.
It's not worth it.
And whatever.
And the ACC was not full.
Nope.
And that's what made MLSE go, okay, we need to bring in an NHL guy.
And that's hockey in Toronto. What happens when the basketball team in Canada is rudderless?
Listen, I'm telling you, man, I know so many people who have given up their season tickets, like myself, because they can eat after COVID. They can you expect a little bump, but every year is 20% bump.
Right.
And the team's not good, and the prices of everything else is going up. Your beers and your food, and they're not doing anything extra for season ticket holders. They're going to find out, because as much as the market has changed, and it is much more of a basketball market than it ever was, people are going to stop going.
Mm-hmm.
And I think last year you saw not quite a full stadium sometimes, still pretty close. If things don't start well, because now here's the thing. The Raptors, as constructed, at least your starting five, are good. We don't know what the other guys are, but the starting five's good.
Yep. They have started to turn the ship slowly.
Yeah. And the way the East looks, It's not good.
No.
So the Raptors should. I mean, I haven't looked too into it yet, but I'd say they're probably a 5-6 team right now,
Yeah, they'll be competitive.
based on injuries, right? Because Indy's not going to be as good.
Yep.
Boston's not going to be as good.
Well, in theory, you're going to have
Miami-
Ingram back healthy, for a full season. In theory,
You're going to have Ingram come in, who didn't even play last year, right?
Yeah.
We traded for him. They were basically like, "Hey, stay off."
We know. We'll wait.
We're going to have
right. Yeah.
IQ back.
Yeah.
We're going to have Barrett. You got Scotty. You got Podol.
Yep.
Your 5 should get you through a lot of games. Because the NBA tends to do this thing where you're either trying to win or you're trying to lose, right?
Yes.
So that starting 5's not bad. They might be able to get through a little bit. There might be some excitement. God, I hope they're good.
Sure.
Because like you said, it's the foundation Masai's kind of put in. Now, Bobby Webster is still there.
Yep.
Right? He's obviously a Masai guy. He's been the GM for a couple of years now. Still trust he's making good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a good foot imprint in the culture of the city as well. Right? He's if I'm not mistaken, he's got a little Filipino background.
Sure.
So he does a lot with that community. He's pretty well
and he wears a little
integrated.
shine from his time under Masai, as you point out, right? Like he's got the
He's
rub
not
here.
Masai though.
No,
he's not. He doesn't. I've had one personal interaction with Masai, and I know you know that. But the way that man, because I was in the practice facility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talked to some people, and Masai was there, and brief interaction with Dwayne Casey.
Did that interaction sound like?
Stop! He's already dead.
Didn't mean to interrupt. Carry on.
It did not. Just for the record, it did not. But while I'm in the practice facility and they were going through, it was a pre-draft workouts. So I'm trying to think. It was 2016 because Fred was already there and Pascal were there, and they were helping work out the new kids looking for drafting. And Masai just commands a room in a way I've seen few people in my life.
It's like
It's
like Masai and Strides. That's it.
Yeah, basically, right? Like he was in the corner, but he commanded like the entire room.
Yeah, there's a bit of a hush. There's a bit of everybody knows Masai's there. Masai's here. Did you see Masai? Masai's here.
Yes. And it's a weird thing because there's very few people any of us will meet who do this.
Yeah.
But this guy, I was like, oh. Like, as soon as I walked in the room, I was like, oh. You felt it was different.
Sure.
I don't know. I've never met Bobby Webster. I've never had any interactions with him. I know people who have. They've always told me he's very nice. He's very accommodating, very
Does
welcoming.
he have that presence, right?
But I don't know if he has that
mystique.
presence.
Yeah.
Which is, again, not common.
No, it's not.
And I understand Masai was making $15 million, and maybe, Ed Rogers says to everybody else on the board, hey, how do we justify $15 million? But there's only 5 guys in the league who are Masai.
You're paying $15 million to give your franchise credibility that it otherwise doesn't have, and
not with Edward
and Keith Pelly.
Rogers.
Like no one in the NBA gives a fuck about Keith Pelly. Like
bring in one of the Galen Weston kids too.
Sure,
like, I don't
why
know.
not? Yeah.
We already hate those guys too. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Keith Pelly knows his way around Canadian media and Canadian sports and all this stuff. He doesn't know shit about the NBA. There's just no way. And now that's who Bobby Webster's answering to? Are we serious with this? Get out of here, man. Like
that is also not even talking about the fact of what Masai has done for basketball in Africa.
Right.
And how he is kind of a link to all of these guys coming from Africa.
Yes.
And how they have respect for him. And, the Raptors fire him, essentially, or mutually part ways, of course.
It's always mutual, yeah.
And 2 days later, it's like the reports come out, hey, Giannis is like, I don't know if I want to be in Milwaukee anymore. Well, who does he love? Masai.
Yeah.
So we go from
the second Masai was
if
gone.
that reverses,
whatever,
we're all looking at
whatever little
Giannis
hope I had at Giannis went out the window the
God.
second they fired Masai. Like, I'm out. See ya. Like,
and that's the guy right now.
Yep.
Who knows about the guy 3 years from now or 4 years from now? And again, that's we're going back to the stability and why.
Yeah.
I know everybody makes fun of the Steelers. You brought them up.
I know, but
that they go 9-8. Well, they make fun of them for going 9-8, but you know what? They make the playoffs. What, 3 out of every 4 years? They always got a chance to win.
How often do they go less than 9-8? Like, they're always competitive, and there's stability. This is it, right? So it's just there's a culture there, and does it always work? No, but there's a stability there, and you know what it's going to look like, and you know that if they're down this year, they're not going to stay down. Like they'll figure it out, and they'll be back around. And like, look, are they the perfect example? No, but it's one of those ones that when you're trying to build and associate a name with a franchise and a culture, yeah, they're on that list. Anyway.
They're the only team. I know we haven't talked NFL here, but they're the only team where I actually think made sense for Aaron Rodgers not to be a shit show.
Yeah.
Because they've only had 3 coaches in the last 45 years?
This is Tomlin's house. It's not your house. You're not getting some guy fired. This is the guy. Like you're.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can talk about ayahuasca all you want, but when it comes to Sunday, you're playing for Mike Tom.
Right.
Right. And that's how it is.
Otherwise, it's back to your dark room and
power as well. And there's a reason every decade you expect them to win a championship, right?
Yep.
When it was Bill Parcells. And the Giants.
Yep.
You knew it was Bill Parcells' house. He was the only person who could control a guy like LT, who was showing up all cocained out half the time.
Before his WrestleMania match. Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, there's a reason he won, obviously. And my guy, Bill Belichick, right? Yep. Like, you knew that was Bill's house. You do what Bill says. You play by Bill's rules. And how many times did he bring in a guy that was uncontrollable, and either you were out quick, like Albert Haysworth. I remember him coming in, and he was like, Bill's like, nope.
Yeah.
You don't play by my rules, you're done.
And Masai's whole thing was a little different. But if there's a free agent who's not even mildly interested in Toronto, but Masai calls, you'll take that call. And maybe he can talk you into it. Maybe he can't, but you go from getting the meeting to not, right? That's the difference.
I'm glad you brought that up. Because that is one of the biggest things that was different when he came to Toronto. We were never in a conversation about anybody.
Right.
Anybody big in the NBA. And we know the NBA, there's always people moving around because it's a player-dominated league. And did we get anybody? Well, we got Kawhi, yes. Did we get anybody else? Really, no.
Yeah.
But we got the meeting. And only really 4 to 5 teams
Gravis
get
Vasquez.
meetings. I thought you were going to go with Matt Bonner, honestly.
No.
But, you know what I mean?
Show some love to the Red Rocket, man.
That is the biggest thing in the NBA. If you can't even get a meeting.
Yeah. It's just that shit show up in Toronto. They got nobody I need to talk to.
We're solely, like, we're basically, and the Raptors, hoping that RJ Barrett can talk to the other Canadian guys. Yeah. Like, that's essentially where the Raptors are. And yeah, hope, man, I still love the Raptors. I hope they're better.
Sure.
I have no hope for them right now.
And Bobby Webster, he might be capable. Like, we'll see. But he does not have the same credibility Masai had. And that's going to be a problem here, man.
You can see it even if you watch interviews. Like, he seems like a really great guy.
Right.
But he doesn't have the same weight to him.
That's right.
You know, it's like it's a difference of talking to me and a difference of talking to Rob. You know, you talk to me, there's a weight and an aura. You talk to Rob, and you're like, "Won't you shut up?"
The heel turn has completed. We have come full circle on the show. He's made sure to throw one elbow on the way out, one FU, if you will, on our way out, man.
Can I throw one?
Do it.
Not elbow. An elbows, not an elbows up. I want to throw one compliment out. You already brought her up, Schreids.
Yes.
I saw her last month.
Yeah.
Her and her wonderful husband. We went to an arcade. I have never seen anybody at it's a vintage arcade type thing, right? We were playing Terminator 2. And me and Josh were like, okay, you know, like you guys take a turn. And Schreids literally just destroyed us. With the arcade gun. It was just ruined our scores.
See, I could more see it being like Schreids playing Terminator 2 while you and Josh are over on Dance Dance Revolution. Like that's the way I see that kind of night playing out.
Because we wanted to play Terminator. And then we're like, hey, you guys take a turn. And then she just made us look so bad. We went and got beers. We were like, forget it. We were embarrassed.
I can tell the good listener that a week from Monday on the 21st, Schreids will be co-hosting that episode with me. So you'll hear from her. We'll get her take on this story. But always craft beer, always CFL, lots to talk about with her. Plus the Women's Euro 25 going on over right now. So lots to get to with her. That is a week from Monday. All kinds of great stuff coming up here. Like I said, in the next little while, we'll be talking to Ian Mendez is going to be here over the next couple of weeks. Matt Scooby is going to be here over the next couple of weeks doing his Ottawa exit interview. I know he's been off TV for a little bit, but on his way out of town, stopped here at the TCA studio. We'll get to all of that as well. Matty Laing, appreciate. There's too many Matts here. It's me, it's you, it's Matt Scooby. There's a lot going on, man. So,
I'm the only Matty.
You are the only Matty, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm the only heel Matty anyway. So
that's right. That's right. We'll wind it down here, man. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
Always appreciate it, man.
Always lots to get to. So we've exhausted Matty's mind here. We're going to allow him to get back to whatever seltzer might be in the fridge. I get to throw an elbow on the way out too. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.
The hell was that?
Number one bullshit. Oh, number one bullshit.
Why are you so pissy?